is Amy Tavio. I'm running for the first congressional seat of Congress that's been held by Jack Kingston for 22 years and is now open as a Democrat. I've lived here in Richmond Hill since 2007, very happy to make it my home by choice, and I'm looking forward to serve all of the people of the 1st Congressional District. I have moved here, settled in, and started my real estate business here with the local Keller Williams office, and have been active in contributing in the community as an advocate for children in foster care through the CASA program, as well as worked with Relay for Life, have done some work with Dana down at Ella's for fundraisers for Pay It Forward Bryan County, and have worked behind the scenes on some of the local city council races to bring prosperity to the city and create a city where we want to work, live, and play. When I moved, probably the biggest thing that I'm known for is that when I moved here in 2007, I wanted to get active in the local Democratic Party, and upon arriving found out that it didn't have one and hadn't had one since the early 90s. So what I'm most known for is connecting with the state and reaching out in the community and building bridges and creating the opportunity for us to bring a Bryan County Democratic Party back into full fruition here, fully chartering and obtaining all our bylaws and executive committee last March. So politically, that's probably the biggest accomplishment I've had, is reviving the Bryan County Democratic Party. Well, you know, one thing that became real clear working here in this community and as a realtor and volunteering in the neighborhoods, as well as working with some of the small businesses, is that who we have currently serving us in Washington is very disconnected to how policy decisions made in Washington, D.C. affect us down here. The economy is just sputtering along, and so many families, including those of us that would normally be labeled middle class, are finding that we're doing everything right, trying to get ahead, and then still just barely getting by. You know, we're sending our kids off to college and they're graduating and coming home and not having a job to go to and are moving back in with their parents. You know, our businesses with the shutdown had people stop walking into their restaurants and their shops and nearly went bankrupt themselves. And, you know, leadership pretty much said, you know, our shutdown didn't cause any problems, we're not having any, it doesn't really affect Main Street. And I think it's time we have somebody in DC that actually has lived in Main Street and actually knows how these policies affect families and working parents and parents that have kids that are sick and kids that are off to college and self-employed business people, and for the most part who we send to Washington are career politicians that really don't get it. One of the biggest things I think that we need to really support here is fostering economic growth and development in the 1st District. One thing that Georgia is very good at is it's a very pro-business environment. Locally, you know, our Bryan County Economic Development Authority has done a great job of promoting the region and promoting opportunity for businesses to move and settle here. We need to make sure that that is fostered, work towards creating a tax code that allows businesses to bring industry here rather than reward them for sending the jobs overseas. And make sure that we focus on some education, so that way if we're going to send kids to public school pre-K through 12, that every single child that graduates has the math, science, technology, literacy skills to be able to successfully enter the workforce or enter a trade school or enter college or be employable in these new high-tech jobs, and that we want to relocate to the 1st District. That's an interesting question, and actually kind of funny, because as a Democratic Party in this particular seat, you know, we've really never raised more than $160,000 for a candidate. It is going to take more than that, but substantially less than the millions of dollars that the Republican Party is known for raking in. So ideally we'd like to land somewhere in the $250,000 to $300,000 mark to be able to launch a viable campaign. You know, it doesn't need to be splashy, we don't need big fancy ads. What I need to do is be able to get out there and, you know, network and meet the voters in all 17 counties, listen to what they're up against, you know, tell them, you know, my story, where I'm from, and how I plan on being a voice for them, and make sure that their voices are heard in DC. So it can be done with less, and we're going to prove that that's possible. It's been a pleasure and an honor to call Richmond Hill and Bryan County home. My family located here by choice, and I can't think of any place better that I want to raise my family, grow my business, and stand side by side with my neighbors. I believe that I would be a valuable voice in DC for the entire state, but most importantly, people here in our neck of the woods would know that they have somebody that understands and appreciates the beauty, the value, and the communities that we call home, and make sure that that livelihood and prosperity and opportunity comes here to the area and keeps us a strong, vibrant, rich area to lay our heads at night.